We are live with the Pronani Crow Inquisitors. We're gonna do a mini session with our good old Sergio to kind of
Yeah.
figure out what has been happening behind the scenes in when all the craziness of last episode was happening. So before, let's actually go ahead and I guess go through beliefs and instincts. At least the ones that you have ready, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Okay. So current beliefs are there will be a power struggle whether I want it or not. I will help Vada with his plot to depose my brother and become the next leader of Lucerda. An unspecified belief, and then the world is changing. Perhaps I am on the wrong side. If the church will fall, the people have spoken. I will do what I can to ensure a peaceful transition of power. Instincts. No one assumes they are evil. I always assume others have the best intention. If I see someone in trouble, then I have to help them. I always have food on hand to share with others.
It's still one of my favorite instincts. You always you only used it once. It's
Yeah.
pretty great.
And traits are loner, cultural traits of haughty, religious, and gluttonous, and second sight, mark of privilege, pardoner, and tonsured.
Cool. And we decided that tonsured for you was what exactly was? What's your mark of? I know we talked about this.
The coin chain.
Just the coin and amulet thing. Okay, all right. Cool. Did you not? Do you not have tattoos of any sort?
Do they have tattoos?
I
I guess
think
that would be the first I've heard of any.
yeah, because I at least know that that the Holy Knights have tattoos. They usually shave their heads and have like an incomplete circle, like as a tattoo on on their on their head. I don't know about because I know you were what were you? You were a monk, and then a pardoner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the itinerant monk would have, but maybe they don't have anything in particular. I was just curious. So,
Could be. That would be kind of cool.
and it's entirely possible that you shaved your head, got tattoos, and then just grew your hair back over it, and it's under there,
True.
but people just don't see it. Because yeah, I think as a partner, it's really informal in terms of actual, like you have vestments and stuff. You have a certain robe you would wear with a certain color or something of the partners, but then yeah, you have, the main thing is the amulet. All right, cool. The last thing that Sergio was doing was kind of like with everybody at the whole place with the fortress thingy in the wharf district where all the cult stuff was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was actually a few days. You weren't there with the session that we did prep stuff where they were like prepping for that meeting with what's his name with Winter. But so I'm assuming that probably like during that time, Vada like contacted you and said, "Hey, like you should come back and we need to have a talk." Mainly because I mean, you weren't even part of this whole cult thing, right? Like you were supposed to be outside of this in the first place. You just got caught in the middle of that whole massacre when you were in the district. Same with Theo, but Theo kind of decided to chill here because now it doesn't matter for him, because before it was like, oh, Iris is gonna recognize me, but infiltration wasn't even a thing anymore. So so you would have just gone to meet with Vada, I'm assuming, without
Yeah,
any
probably.
quarter.
What did Theo do and all of that last time?
Theo wasn't there the session they were doing prep stuff. So we were the assumption was, so 2 sessions ago. And so the assumption was that he was just going around doing what his character had been doing when he was off anyway. So like gathering information, going around, talking to people, trying to find out more about the cult, stuff like that. So he spent a lot of time when during the whole period where after the massacre, when everybody's kind of like wounded and people are scavenging and looting and stuff like that, he went around with, and just was asking people for information, trying to find as much as he can about the cults, who's their leaders and all that stuff, just kind of gaining more information. But then he came back for next session, and so he was there. He didn't actually do a whole lot except for argue with him and Cantarius had a really deep conversation about, like, because the initial plan was for Cantarius to because I guess, man, you missed two really important things. I just realized they spent right, because you weren't there for 2 sessions, correct? Or were you there? Or no, you were there for the prep stuff, weren't you?
I was, yeah, I do remember.
Because you remember them finding out a binding theory, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
all
helped
right.
with that.
All right. Cool. Because I was just thinking about it. I was like, wait a second. You used your philosophy there. I remember that. Okay. So you at least know that then. Yeah. So I mean, the plan. You remember the plan being then Cantarius was going to sacrifice himself and then poison, that whole poison thing and whatnot. So basically, at the beginning of last session, him and Cantarius and Theo had a poignant conversation about who was going to sacrifice themselves. Because Theo's like, no, dude, you got more to live for. Like, that's your son. Like, I don't have anything to live for at all. Like, there's no one I really care about in this world. But it ended up just being where they had this conversation, and then they thought about it, and they're like, wait a second, what if we, I think there might be a way to do this without having anyone sacrifice themselves. And so they kind of settled on that, on a plan basically along the lines of trying to get him cornered in some way. And I'm not exactly sure how the plan was supposed to go, but it just ended up not happening at all, because Alphonse and Winter just ended up getting into a big showy argument in the middle of everyone, and that was the whole session, basically. So yeah, they had this giant duel wits, and basically at the end of it, Winter was defeated. But then I won't say anymore, because what happens next is something that you still definitely don't know, and it's kind of important. But
Okay.
yeah, so you were a part of that whole, all right, figure out this binding theory, that's the plan kind of thing. And then Vada's like, hey, you should come help me with this other thing, because I've been working behind the scenes to like overthrow the church on our end. I need your help, kind of a thing. And you probably weren't going to be super useful in that whole thing anyway for the meeting part of it. So I'm assuming, yeah, Sergio would just kind of be like, all right, sure, I can do that. Yeah, so I think we probably open up on that conversation then. You guys are in one of the estates, probably. Over here, in one of these noble estates. Or actually, to be honest, you probably are having this conversation. Where is it? Right over here. Wait, here we go. That building right above the Grand Temple of the Great God. Because that is, that's Armando Cull's, house, and that's where or his estate, and that's actually where you met Vada the first time. And remember, that was that bishop or whatever that you knew. You're probably meeting that same house, because he doesn't want anyone else in the church to get whiff of this anyway, so wants to be as far away as possible from them. So you guys are probably having that conversation, and yeah, I mean, I'm assuming you kind of like just enter the room, and you see Vada, and he kind of like nods at you and motions for you to sit down. He's like, Sergio, very good to see you. Very good. And he kind of has just like this smile on his face, like things are going according to plan kind of smile. So I'm assuming you sit down and okay.
Give a grunt, like,
I'm not happy with this.
Yeah, Vada. All right, let's get to business.
Yeah, so he says, I trust that things are going according to plan on the cult end of things.
I think so. It seems as though our Inquisitors have that under control.
Yeah, I think he smiles a little bit when you say our Inquisitors. And so, yeah, he says, good. I'm so glad to hear that. Sergio, I've been working an angle on my end here. He kind of folds his hands in his robes and he kind of like leans back a little bit in his chair. He says, "There's an opportunity here. It's coming up very, very soon. When this cult what's it called? When this I'm so wait. Do you tell him details about what they're doing, or just kind of say, yeah, things are going well?
I'd probably leave out the whole like binding thing.
Okay, but you just kind of tell him that they're gonna have a meeting and stuff.
Yeah, like the underhanded trying to split the cult.
Sure.
Things
Yeah.
like
Okay.
that.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. So you kind of just give him a rundown and yeah, he says yes, good. Everything is going according to plan. Then there's an opportunity here, Sergio. The church, as some of my agents have pointed out to me, is about to make a move here. It's about to put a piece into place. You're familiar with the northern desert region, and I know I have a name for this place. I don't remember if I've ever written it down anywhere. This let me drag you over to the map real quick. Ceran. So this map here. So Lucerta's over here, as you can see.
Yeah.
This desert up here is partially under the control of Ceran, but it's also inhabited by several like Middle Eastern sort of culture tribes that worship a different religion and have given the Serrano trouble for years and years now. And like it's just the common practice that most of like the holy knights in the current era go up to the north at some point for a sort of crusade-ish sort of thing, but not like a wave of like soldiers going there, but like go there, probably like go kill various tribes people and try to convert them to the religion.
Kill them and then try and convert
We'll kill the warriors and stuff like that, and then try to convert some of them, and more or less just kind of try to keep things under control, because there's always like these tribes are supposed to be in these certain like areas like that have been set aside by the Serrano for them, and they're always rebelling and stuff like that. And so as of right now, this is just common knowledge to you that like most of the holy knights are in the north, and that's actually where a lot of the monasteries and stuff that train them are. That's actually probably where the public was told that you were the Crow Inquisitors. I guess not you, but like the other Crow Inquisitors were to get their training and indoctrination back into the church. So that's kind of where all the holy knights are, which is why we haven't really seen any of them walking around Lucerta. But he kind of just points out to you, and again, I don't have a name per se for it, but he just kind of says it. I'll have to see if I can dig that up, because I'm pretty sure I made a name for it. But he just says, you're aware of the northern desert region and the current situation there, I presume, even though you haven't been in Ceran all that long. I'm assuming you're at least caught up to speed in that respect.
Yes, I believe so.
Granted, I mean, the situation was more or less the same when you left as it was when you returned, but I like to think there was some progress. But maybe there wasn't. Maybe that's why we have to reform the church, isn't it, Sergio?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, he waited for an answer there, yeah, so... but yeah, he says, the church has made a move, as I said. They're bringing back the knights. They're bringing them back to Lucerta. They're going to use them for some crowd control. with the cult happening and things like that. They're going to be doing that, and with this tells me that the church is very concerned with the way that the cult has been operating and the threat that the cult poses. And this tells me that they're weak. This tells me that they are desperate because, I mean, doctrine demands, as you know, that one of the prime duties of the Holy Knights in particular, as an order, is to convert heathens and spread the law of our religion. But bringing them back here, that means that this is a more important battleground than the North. Now, when these Holy Knights return, they're going to be here in a very short amount of time. The church tried to make this not common knowledge that the Knights were coming back, but I managed to pick it up. Again, I don't care about the cults at all. We don't really need them to overthrow the church. They are useful, to be sure. They would come in handy, but given the situation that we have before our eyes now, there's not really going to be much chance that the cult is going to, in any form, is going to come out alive of this. So, what I'm thinking we should be doing is try to go straight to the head of the snake. Cut it off. Take over control of this institution before things get too out of control. Before the situation is allowed to progress with the Knights and for them to solidify martial law in Lucerta. If we take over now and we head over and we make you the head of the church, well, you were already Pope once. I'm sure the Holy Knights will maybe take a little bit of persuading, but they could be brought around to our point of seeing things, especially if we have the might of the Inquisitorial Guard and the Church Guard behind us. Now, I'm going to give the table to you now, the floor to you. What do you think about this? Do you have any suggestions, any ways that we could go about doing this that would make the operation as it would successful? Any thoughts?
Well, what specifically are you planning as far as a political takeover? Are we going to launch I mean, is it a military takeover or what's your
More or
sure
less. I mean, we have the Inquisitorial Guard is under our command. We have a force that I haven't used very often, but is mine to command, and they are very loyal to me. Of course, if you have any other allies that we might be able to call on for this, but I'm thinking less of a direct confrontation and more of a sort of underhanded operation as it would. And I think this might be where you come in. If we can get our beloved leader, our beloved High Priest, into a sort of compromising situation, then we might be able to force his hand, maybe cut him down, institute you as the new leader, maybe without anyone having to die except for him. Maybe a fake augury or two to prove to the public and to the church that you are the true pope and have been this entire time. There are some legitimate concerns about the way that that your brother took office after you left. Some say that you're still meant to be the pope. Remember, they do that ritual or whatever to decide on the next leader. So,
true.
Yeah.
Well, but
This is the thing. You have a belief about this, but I'm definitely trying to push here and see how far Sergio is willing to take this, and what he's willing to sacrifice morally.
Well, okay. Is there a way? Is there a way we can go about this without having to murder the current pope, my brother?
I'm sure that there are. If you think that there are more
I would like
efficient
to
and more
avoid needless death. Yes.
of course, yes. I mean that would have been the point already of killing of. I hate to use this word, but assassinating your brother. That would be the point, is to avoid needless death. Because if we try to confront him in any sort of direct confrontation, or give him a chance to bring up his own forces to bear, there will be blood, and it will be spilled very, very generously.
All
Again,
right. So
is there a more efficient way? Please let me know.
no, I think I'm good with it. So a strike team on the castle, a forceful
Yes,
coup, then in a way.
a forceful but a quiet coup. Yes.
All right. Let me, in the process, I need to be able to talk with my brother.
We can
I
give
will
you
see if
that.
I can get him to step down peacefully.
It will have to be a very short conversation, because I'm sure we won't have much of an opportunity, if any, to get him alone. But yes, I can allow you that. I'm sure. Again, I am just eternally grateful that you're even willing to do this at all. So of course, I will gladly let you have a conversation with your brother. He is, after all, a very, very respected member of the church. We only do this for the good of Ceran.
I mean, as the Pope, that's a given. But
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though. What if he's not really the Pope and he wasn't supposed to be?
all right. Well,
So again, that I have a few ideas here about the way that we could get him into a compromising situation, into being alone. He's a very paranoid man as of now, so he's often doesn't go anywhere really without his elite guard. But I think I might have an idea or two about how to get him alone. I want to hear your thoughts first, though. Do you have any suggestions as to how we might get your brother alone, get him to drop his guard a little bit? Do you have any ends?
let's see. I guess I don't know. How much would Sergio know about his brother's routine at the moment?
Basically nothing. I mean, right? Like he's like been ignoring you.
True. Is there anything I can remember, like childhood things that?
Possibly, yeah. I'm willing to give you, like, just if you want to throw out something that you think might be an idea, like that Sergio might know about, like, just say, oh, well, there's this. I think you know for sure that there is a secret passage that leads out of the palace that like leads right to his room. That because the family in general kind of knew about that, because it was this kind of like escape route for the family if the mob ever decided to like overthrow them or anything like that. But I mean, I'm sure that he knows that you know about that. And I mean, I'm sure that he's aware that there might be people, especially with Alphonse and Dellen being the people that they are right now, that sure. it's not necessarily, he's probably aware that it's probably compromised, so he will probably have people guarding it or maybe close it off or something. So but I mean, if you have any ideas of a thing that Sergio might know, if it's reasonable or whatever, that something from your childhood or something like that or I guess not really your childhood, because you didn't really like live here as a child, but
like
at your time as Pope or something.
So you said he's paranoid. I guess is there anything I can use as far as like what is he like as a person?
What is he like as a person? I mean, yeah, he's. Let me bring up his character sheet here, because he he has traits and stuff. I'll just read you his traits, right? Because then you can get an idea just from this. He has a trait insightful, so he's a very learned and wise sort of person. He's, I think he tends to use that wisdom more in a devious sort of way than a morally good sort of way. But he's also merciless. You've never known your brother to be a very forgiving sort of man. He holds grudges, and he holds them very, very long. I think you've definitely noticed that, like, with the whole, maybe just partially or whatever, but you've at least noticed, adjacently, or no, that's not the word I'm looking for. Noticed, you've been on the periphery of this kind of thing that was going on with Alphonse and his sister, that they slept together, and that was a whole big thing. He got, tried for incest. That was the main thing that like, well, he got tried for rape and incest, because it was posited that, like, oh, of course that his sister's not gonna go along willingly with that. And I don't think you actually know the details of it, because you never really asked Alphonse about it, but for sure, like, your brother, like, hates Alphonse and will probably just continue hating him forever. Like, he's never gonna let that go, basically. He also has this air of righteousness about him, that, it's in a way faked, but he's definitely, like, he also has the trait holier. So he just definitely has he also has imperious demeanor. So he's generally just a very he puts on a very big show of being righteous and holier than thou and imperious and, being better than everyone around him. Again, he has a trait he's the trait suspicious. So he's never really trusted most people. And I think you've definitely noticed that more in his later part of life than he was originally. And like, when you guys were kids, he was a lot nicer of a person. But he's just been through a lot of different things. He's had to make a lot of really hard decisions. He was an inquisitor for a while. Yeah. So he's very familiar with just, I think you probably, well, okay. So you were gone for, what was it, 20 years?
Yeah, about that. I think that's the,
Yeah, that actually makes sense. Yeah, so you know that he was, his life paths too. So he was born,
20.
He was born noble. He was a religious acolyte. Then he was a regular priest, and then he was an inquisitor for a while, and then he was a theologian, and then he was an archpriest, and then about the time that you left, he became the pope. So he became the bishop of the church, the main bishop. And yeah, so you remember him during his inquisitorial years and his theologian years, and yeah, the longer he lived, the more merciless and unforgiving and suspicious he got. Because yeah, he's just world weary. He's a world weary sort of person. He's 65 years old, so so he's like 20 years older than you, 24 years older than you. There's definitely a big age difference between you guys, and that's always been a part of your relationship. Like, he's always been the older brother in every single way possible. In some ways, maybe even more like an imperious sort of uncle or father to you sometimes. Like, you don't feel like that necessarily, but I think he tries to act like that a lot of times. Because I mean, your father's been dead a long time, so.
So is it like insecurity about him being the Pope? Like,
I mean, definitely in some ways, right? Like, he was just as shocked as everyone. I mean, everyone was shocked when you got chosen for the position and he didn't, because like it seemed obvious that like he was gonna be the one. And definitely he got a lot more cold towards you after that happened. But I mean, your time as the Pope was so like, you got thrown into that, and it's most of it is like a blur in your mind too, with all the things you had to deal with. That a lot of the times it was just the fact that you just never got to see him, and not necessarily that he was avoiding you per se. He also has the trait cold-blooded. Tonsured invested.
Is it dragon blood?
No. He also has the faithful trait. So I don't. I don't know if you know particularly. I'm trying to think if he has a particular patron saint that he kind of favors. Probably not. He probably just like prays directly to the great god, kind of like Dellen does. So, but yeah, you definitely know about. He definitely has like legitimate supernatural sort of prayer abilities.
He's a cleric.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. As far as you know, he doesn't have any of the 9 disciplines, but. So.
All right.
I think one of the things. Okay, so yeah, do you have a suggestion from there for Vada, just given that stuff?
I mean, and maybe mention that, like, his insecurities and things, just that he's paranoid, so he's probably gonna have every entrance guarded, and like his chambers are not going to be easy to get into, and yeah, again, the insecurity thing, if he wants to launch like a political thing, like start spreading rumors or whatever.
So I think the more you talk, the more he smiles. Like, he's like, yes, exactly. That's exactly where I wanted you to go with this sort of stuff. Like, yes, paranoia, yes. And so he mentions it. He's like, yes, I've already done that. Oh, don't worry. I've been working on that for years now. Political slander is one of the things that I am heavily involved in. There is a growing sentiment. There is a growing sentiment that doesn't like him as the leader of our church. But I mean, it's a given that in a time of civil unrest and where things aren't going the way that the country just should be going, everyone will blame the leader. That's just the way things work. And so there's just bound to be unrest, but there's a growing position that legitimately think, and to me, of course, and I've been working on, or I'm the one who spread this, of course, but ever since you came back, I've been working on this idea of you taking over, and I've managed to garner quite a bit of favor for you replacing your brother again. So I don't want to push you farther than you want to go, Sergio. But I have a way that I am almost positive will work to get him to drop his guard. Have you spent much time since you've been in Lucerta with your niece? Ipana?
No, actually, I haven't been able to meet with her either. Wasn't that one of the things?
Yeah.
I was trying to before, and then...
Do you mention that to him?
Yeah.
He says, yes. And that's because Elon was keeping her from you. He's highly protective of her ever since the incident with Alphonse. That's our in. He is highly, highly protective of his daughter. And if we even so much as suggest a threat to her well-being, he will drop everything and come running if we play our cards right. And see, this is the thing. Ipana. And this is a very awkward thing to talk about with you, I believe, but Ipana is in love with Alphonse. Head over heels in love with him. Not
Still.
Well, this is the thing. You never knew that there was a start to this in the beginning. Like, your character, at the very least, you had no idea of this. You heard that Alphonse like raped her or something, but I don't think Alphonse.
Dylan tell me that one time. I thought we went over.
He might have. Yeah, he might have.
There was one night
Right.
or whatever when I think
sure.
filled me in on the deets.
Okay, all right.
So
yeah, so yeah, he mentions that anyway, and he says, she, and not a platonic,
thing, though.
brotherly, sisterly sort of love, but a romantic love. Which is highly controversial, I am sure, and is wildly against every doctrine that we hold to, but we can use it all the same. If we promise Ipina, Alphonse, if we promise her that we will reunite her with her love and work this all out for her. We'll work on Alphonse. We'll get them to reconcile. We might be able to convince her to play her cards right so that Elon is vulnerable. We could get her to cry wolf, to bring her father running to an ambush. What do you think? What do you think of this? Please let me know. I'm just gonna keep pushing.
No. I don't. Playing with the emotions of his beast now. Yep. Like. No. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. He steeled himself. This needs to be done.
Oh, I'm so happy. I really want to know who Sergio becomes after all this is over. That's gonna be so interesting. Yeah, so he claps his hands. He's like, I knew you had it in you. I knew you did. See, this is for the good of Ceran. I promise you, I will not let you down, Sergio. We will reforge Ceran from the ashes of this fire. It's like a forest fire. Sometimes you need to burn away the excess vegetation to make the plants grow right. You need to cut out the bad weeds. You need to restart from the beginning. And then things will grow properly. You'll be able to control the growth. That's what we're going to do. So I need you, Sergio, to head this up. I need you to be the one who talks to Ipina, because you're her uncle. You're her beloved uncle. She trusts you.
I can't.
You look at me, like, and I think there's like a mirror next to the dining table or whatever, and he kind of looks into the mirror and he's like, "You look at me, for example, and I freely admit it. I look creepy. I'm a dark, just sort of disreputable sort of looking man. She would never trust me, but you, Sergio, and like, you know, if you look at the mirror, you see yourself in the mirror, and like, he's like, you have that fatherliness about you. You have the kind-hearted spirit about you that lets people trust you. We can use that for the good of Ceran. You'll be the father to more than just your flock. You'll have a bigger flock. You'll have the whole of Ceran.
All right. Yes. Okay. I'll talk to her.
Yeah, he's like, you're like, all right, stop with the flattery. I don't want to hear this from you. Oh, that's great. Yep. He's like, thank you, Sergio. You have not failed to let me down so far. I trust that you will bring this to completion in such a marvelous way. And then he like whistles real quick, and like some servants come out with like a meal, and he's like, "Please eat. You need to build up your strength for the days ahead." And I think like while you're eating, well, if you do eat, like he kind of just explains to you like where when he wants you to do this, a general idea of like how the rest of it's gonna go down in detail and stuff. So, do you eat, or have you lost your appetite?
Yeah, not much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, we see this little montage of Sergio just kind of like pushing around his food and not really eating any of it, and Vada just like talking away, smiling and eating. Yeah, so I think it's like the next day or whatever that he wants you to go meet with Ipana. So what does that exactly look like for you? What are you probably gonna do? Or where are you gonna meet her exactly? Do you think? What would make sense?
I don't know. I assume it's outside she's meeting us outside.
Yeah, she wouldn't be meeting you in the palace.
Castle and stuff.
Yeah. The thing is, the one of the problems in and of itself there is to get her into a place where she wouldn't be overheard, because I mean, again, her father's really protective of her. He's not gonna let her go anywhere.
Yeah.
It actually might be a good idea to have her maybe go to the gardens.
What if?
Mhm.
What if? I assume they have like confessionals, pardoning booths.
For sure.
Of course,
yeah.
you have to meet there.
Yep.
For
sure.
We'll set up in one of the booths in one of the
Absolutely.
palace churches, and
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's like a chapel. There's a chapel in the palace. And I think like we're normally, I mean, you're used to like the really, really small sort of, musty, bare confession booth sort of thing. But this confession booth, there's like one right in this like royal chapel or whatever. I guess not royal, but like papal chapel or whatever. Oh dear. The papal chapel. The papal chapel. There's like one big confession booth, and it's like this. There's like these intricate designs of like angels and like cherubs and stuff like that, like over the top of this thing, and like these golden curtains, and like Ipana goes. I think we maybe get like a short little montage of like her going around the palace doing various things, and we see that like guards are like with her like constantly most of the time, or like pretty much all the time. But then like she goes out, goes to like the front of the chapel, and she like says a few words to the guard, and like as we zoom in, we kind of start hearing what they're saying, and she says, oh please open, can you let me go just by myself? I need to be with God right now. There are troubles weighing on my heart. And I think like we as the audience can tell that she's trying to act here, and it's not she's not doing necessarily a good job of it, because that's not necessarily her strong suit. This is after you've already contacted her and told her about, hey, we need to meet in secret, and there's things we need to talk about. And so she's fine with this, and she wants to set up, she wants to do this. And so she's like lying to her guard to like get her to get the guard to let her go in here by herself. And so the guard finally like grudgingly like nods, and he's like, fine. And she like walks into the chapel, and her footsteps are like echoing really loudly in this huge vaulted chamber. And I'm assuming you're already in the confessional booth. And I think it wouldn't necessarily be weird for you to be here anyway, because I mean you're a partner, so like at any point you could just like you went up to the partner who's usually there and just be like, hey, I'll take over, and yeah, I'm fine. I'll take over for you. And so yeah, you're already in there, and so she she walks in, steps into the confessional, sits down, pulls the curtain, and then yeah, like you're on the other side of this, and she says, Uncle.
Ipana, it's good to finally talk.
Yes, it is. Can you tell me now why we have to meet under these circumstances?
Well, your brother's not too keen on me coming in, or my brother's not too keen on me visiting the palace at the moment.
Why is that?
Honestly, I'm not sure. At the beginning, it wasn't, but at least for now. Well, hold on. Let's see. I don't know. Okay, so what's the we're trying to. What specifically did I need to talk to her about?
I mean, you need to try to convince her that I mean, you could lie to her and try to get her to think this is something completely different from what it is. Or you could just try to tell her the truth and see if you can convince her that it's for the good of Ceran or whatever, to get your brother into a situation where, like, she cries wolf or something, like, claims that someone, like, she needs to talk to him in private, like, this is really serious kind of a thing. And that, like, then you guys can come out and confront him, basically.
Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, I don't know. I'm not good at head games.
I mean, first off, like, are you gonna lie to her, or are you gonna try to convince her that
Probably try and convince her.
should
So
tell her the truth?
it'd be
And
like,
okay,
at least to start, I didn't know why he wouldn't see with me, but now, now having seen what's going on with the church and stuff, it's I feel like something needs to be done. So if
yeah. So you
I
just
guess
explain this to her.
ask if yeah,
Okay.
probably ask if do you share this view also?
Yeah, so she's really quiet throughout this whole thing. Like, you're just kind of explaining all this to her, and she's like really quiet. And again, you can't like see each other necessarily, like, and you can't really see your faces through this. And so, like, you don't really know what sort of expression she has on her face or how she's taking any of this. But she doesn't leave. She doesn't like just get up and walk out or anything. But yeah, there's a long pause after you ask that question, and she says, and there's like a shake in her voice when she says this. Has it really come to that, Uncle? I know that my father can be a bit much sometimes, that he can be angry, he can be cold, even, in his anger, but isn't he the chosen of God? Well, I was the chosen of God first. I love it that Sergio has to do this because he's such an awkward human being.
I don't like. I mean, he's not. All right, so it's just something about like he's. This isn't about him personally, but the way that the church he's been running the Church of Ceran through my travels around, I've seen there's been great injustices in the world, and yeah, let's see, like specific examples. 1, 2, and 3, and then I don't know. I'm no good at this. Let's see, but okay, so yes. I mean, yeah, so something like that. I don't know. I don't know
No,
how
that's
to
fine. Yeah.
how to word it. The
Yeah. So she just. I mean, I think like the camera is on her face, and she nods, but obviously you don't see that. But she's just like, I mean, it's a hard It's a hard job. I mean, I don't. You've been gone for a long time, Uncle. You haven't seen Father on a day-to-day basis having to deal with the thing that he has to deal with. It's a job that would ruin anyone, and I just don't understand how this is fair. Why can't you just work with him to make things better?
Honestly, I would if I could, but he's been denying my visits. I haven't been able to see him since I've been back.
I I could get you an audience with him. I could absolutely have him talk to you. He listens to me. He loves me. And he loves you too, even if he doesn't show it sometimes. Even if he's trying to be cold and distant. He's worried, I'm sure. He's jealous, I'm sure. You were...
I would actually appreciate that. An audience would be great. If you think you could pull it off.
So how much did you tell her about, like, what you want to do with the whole Inquisitor sort of situation? Did you just say, like, what did you want her to do initially when you were telling her all the things, like, you know, like, oh, he's not doing what's right, you know, we can do this. What did you give any sort of explanation as to, like, what you wanted her to do about it beforehand? Or did you literally just, because she was like, hey, like, you know, what's up with what do you want to talk about? And you're like, hey, he needs to be out of office. You know, I need to, you know, take over or whatever. But I don't think you really went into detail there. But did you go into detail when you...
No, yeah, okay. Yeah, let's say I went through just generic change in the church kind of a thing, and I need an audience with him.
Okay. Okay.
To...
Yeah, sure. That's a good angle to play. So make a falsehood test here. Okay, so actually answer a question for me first. Are you being serious about the fact that you might just want an audience with him with no ill intentions, or are you're just planning on doing this to...
Yes, no, yes.
You want an audience with no ill intentions?
Actually, if I can, yeah, just get an audience without Vada knowing. That would be wonderful.
No, for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, she nods. I mean, that's the end of the conversation then. She's like, I can do that. Of course, Uncle. I promise you things are not as bad as they seem. And then, you know, she goes off, and yeah, I mean, I think we'll cut next to, you know, to that conversation. But let's actually take a quick break here first, and then we'll come back and do that.
Okay.
I'm gonna go get some more water and stuff. So, all right, stick around. We got more Burning Wheel to come. It's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to seeing how all this plays out. All right, we'll be right back.